guy?
Who is this guy? We're back. Oh my god. It feels good. 2-week break.
2 weeks.
Oh.
We rested. We rested for the playoffs.
We had 2 bye weeks in a row. No.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, it was not because of rest. It was because of just life being crazy. If anybody can tell, well, also, welcome to the Budrush Bellow. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh. You are all my buds, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Viz, a.k.a. Gary. How you doing, Gary?
Hey, man. I'm doing well. I'm doing real well. You've had a busy few weeks. I'm halfway through finishing up my degree, but you're moving up, moving in.
Moving up, moving in. I'm sorry. This is a new studio. Kind of looks a little bit the same. But I have moved into a house here. It is my childhood home, or not childhood. I didn't spend my whole life here, but my teenage home, my teenager home. It's, it's where got real cool and stuff like that. And
yeah, that's what you got there. Yeah,
pimples and
real cool.
All those fun stuff. But I'm here. I'm going to be buying this house for my wonderful father eventually. He's actually upstairs, probably sleeping, and he's gonna hear me tonight. I'll tell you that. So
he's tuning in. He's tuning in.
Oh my Lanta, we got some great buds in the chat. We got Dead Summer Art. We got Caleb. We got Greg, aka Darth Prentice. We got Capolo, former never to be guest again of the show, and Patrick Shaw of Off the Rails TCG. I hope everybody's doing really well. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about our pre-releases. We're going to talk about our 5 favorite cards so far from Outsiders. And we're going to crack some packs. I have Outsiders packs, but I don't think I'm allowed to crack them. So we're going to be cracking Tales of Aria unless I get an email from Alex Norville.
Mid-show. This just in.
Mid-show. If it happens mid-show, I'll open more packs. 100%. We'll roll Scabskin again. And what else we're gonna do? Oh, and then we're gonna have Gary and I see a little bit different. We don't see eye to eye on things sometimes, and we're gonna talk about
it's rare. But
we're gonna talk about New Horizons and in Riptide. Mostly. We'll get to that. I think we're going to skip a deck tech this week just because I think everybody's so limited focused right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about limited as well. And yeah. And I leave for Boston in the morning, so I gotta get my beauty rest. Also, I have to upload the set review, hopefully coming out tomorrow. But it was supposed to come out last week, but ran into some technical difficulties. But I think we are already on our way. Capolo says some people already opened LSS boxes. I've opened some of my boxes, but I have not done it on stream because, listen, I'm a lowly content creator. I've never had a spoiler card. I've never gotten anything. I'm not trying to risk any of that right now. But
yeah, you don't want to risk your negative to neutral standing.
Yeah, but well, hey, listen. I mean, I don't want to. I don't want them to be, coming at me like, hey, well, we were going to give you one, but you opened those couple packs on a stream. So, hey, listen, I'm just being, better safe than sorry. But listen, what's going on with you, Gary? What's going, like, honestly, what is new? Because we haven't talked really. I mean, we've talked, but we haven't like talked in like 2 weeks.
Well, man, things are good. I'm in a good spot. I'm graduating in 6 weeks. So I'm like, I'll be all done with school. Be fresh out of school. Work's going well, nothing really. Honestly, I wish I had more crazy shit to talk about in life, but like, I'm just in a good spot, preparing to travel, really hyped for Baltimore, going to Pittsburgh in May. Just like going to Montreal in June, so it's like every month I got something crazy coming up. But I'm real excited. How about you, man?
Yeah, it's been a stressful couple of weeks. I'll tell you that much. But I took this week off completely because I'm going to PAX East up in Boston tomorrow with some cousins and some childhood friends. We do it every year. It's a lot of fun, and during this week I got to work on the house, right? Unpack boxes. I helped my dad basically put in a whole floor today. That was a lot of fun, but it's been also a nice chance for me to kind of step away from work and
Yeah.
even like kind of content a little bit, because like last week content was like a mess, right? So I had I had the set review. I was editing it. I ran into a really big problem that I couldn't fix on my own. It was beyond my ability. So I sent it off to Hoodwill, who, if anybody knows, is a prominent person in the community, has showed up on the Table Pit and does some work for Arsenal Pass and stuff like that. So I reached out to him because I knew he could do it. Greg has done a lot of editing, hopefully getting back to it soon. But he's got a little baby at home, so I did hear back from Will, and I hopefully getting it tonight back from him, and it'll
Great.
be up tomorrow. And that's why last week's episode of Fresh and Buds was just me talking about Riptide for 45 minutes. But it was
It was a great time.
yeah, I actually, I got a lot of positive response from the video, and I was nervous, right? I'll be honest, I was nervous because like it felt like the early days of Fresh and Buds when I would do some solo shows, and yeah, they weren't the best. But I've definitely come a long way since then. But that was always
The passion is still there, man. The passion's still there. You're oozing over Riptide.
I know, dude. I was oozing. I was like the ooze coming out of Riptide, and
Absolutely leaking.
I know. So, and we'll talk a little bit about Riptide in this show, but it was it was good, and it was a lot of fun, and we'll see. And Greg says he's missed the solo Fresca shows. Hey, listen, they're not off the table because guests are harder to come by these days. Andrew, how you doing, my friend? As his stream over? Andrew's coming over here. To hear it.
Yeah, as is streaming at like 2-3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Love the dude.
Yeah, he's the best. So, but before we get into the show, I do want to shout out to the Patreon, which you can find in the show notes or in my link tree on my on Twitter, and it's a great place to help support the show, keep the mics hot, the lights on, and we got something really cool and interesting kind of coming out that we're going to be doing. It's going to be called Cracking Six and Making Picks. Actually, I have a picture of the thing right now. It is going to be a series that I do with patrons, right? We are going to have patrons come on while I crack 6-packs and talk about sealed and limited in general, just because I love it, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'll put that up on YouTube for everyone, but patrons are gonna be able to kind of come on and just chat with me while we're doing it. It's gonna be a nice little hang. That's what this is all about. It's always been about just hanging with your buds, having nice conversations. It's gonna be a blast. I can't wait for it. So if you're interested in getting involved with that, check out the Patreon. You don't have to provide any packs. Right.
Sorry. I just saw Andrew's text of, and I walk into oozing.
It won't be the first time you walk into oozing, Andrew, on this show. But so you, God, I lost my train of thought. No, but it's a great way. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and actually, since Gary is my co-host, but he's also a patron, so we're gonna be recording one tonight after this. And that'll be the first one. It'll be up on YouTube for everyone to enjoy, and hopefully, people like it. I mean, it's gonna be fun. Cracking 6-packs and talking about limited. It sounds like the best thing ever. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Some other things I want to shout out is the Buds Discord, which everyone can join. It is a great community, and we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of great people in there that chat all the time, and people can answer questions or just be silly with, or get serious with, and I think that's awesome. So, check
good
that
range
out.
Good range of people on the Buds Discord.
Yeah. Mr. Chaos Hazard says, "Tommy the boy." This is a new. This is a new. It's a new nickname for me, but I'm all for it.
You didn't have that nickname when the Tommy Boy movie came out?
I mean, I was like I was like 2 years old when that movie came out. I
Yeah,
think.
Tommy, right?
Yeah, I mean that's one of my favorite movies, Tommy Boy. That's a great movie. So, but yeah, I am Tommy the Boy turned Tommy the Man turned Tommy the Fresh. So, that's it. But let's crack some packs. Let me just
Absolutely.
look at my phone here. No email or actually it was a DM. Maybe I should have emailed him, but it was a DM to Alex Norville. I haven't heard back from yet. Yeah, it's
Oh,
they're busy over in New Zealand. I get it. So we're gonna
got
open
Jeff in the
some.
chat too.
What was that? We got
Jeff's
Jeff
in the chat too.
Jeff's in the chat. How you doing, Jeff?
We're popping off tonight.
We're popping off. We've been away for a hot minute, so it's nice to get.
Everybody's excited to see us back.
They sure are. So let's crack some packs. Actually,
All right,
we'll get over to you. You can roll Scabskin. Wait,
yeah.
that gambler's gloves does not look like a gambler's glove.
Yeah, this is a not a gambler's gloves. This is a Vampirants of Determination. Spoilers, this card is great. I love it. And I opened it at my pre-release this weekend. And it's awesome. Yeah, we're gonna talk a bit about that later on. I also got my Pits playmat here, so we're rolling strong tonight. And if you're new, what we do here is I roll a dice, and we gain that many action points as if we had rolled Scabskin leathers. We'll break the gambler's gloves if we roll something low. And then when we open of the 3 packs, if we open 2 packs, if we have 1 pack, whatever packs we don't open, we'll be opening on the Patreon video after the show. So let's roll it up and let's see what we get. Oh my gosh.
6? Oh my god.
Oh my.
That's
Oh,
all 3 Tales of Aria packs.
it's been cooking. This dice has been cooking. It's been wanting to get rolled.
Oh, Sigma says, "Can we open Tails so Tommy gets New Horizons?" Look at what I have, Sigma. Oh my god! All right, well, hey, listen. Here's a nice little sneak peek to Gary and I's. Let me actually make you smaller here, Gary. Sorry, not smaller. You're just like
that's what I always hear.
But. Here's a sneak preview to Gary and I's conversation at the end of the show where we're talking about New Horizons. I think even if I open this, right? A lot of people have been making jokes like, "Oh, Tommy doesn't want to play New Horizons. He doesn't own one," right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If I open one, I'm still not playing it. That's where I'm at. So,
all right. Well, you got 3 packs.
Let's go. Let's do it. This is a totally new. I'm getting used to this. This kind of like, it's Rosetta Thorn. Let's get that out of there. All right. Yeah. Shock Striker. Shock Striker yellow. Not the worst. This is a draftable set. So we're gonna talk about the picks, right? As opposed to just making jokes. Shock Striker yellow. This is not a bad card. Lightning. It's
no. Anything that's with 4 is good, right? So
anything with 4. Oh, Code of Frost. This is probably my pick for first pick out of the gate right now. I think it's just good. It's just a good. It's weird that it was second though in the pack. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Right?
Repacked.
Oh god, blue burgeoning. Yeah, I am notorious, not notorious, but I force Oldham anytime I play.
Yeah.
Tails.
I'm the same, but I force Lexi. So
yeah, I see a blue Earth in my opening pack. I'm like, I might as well start off.
Yeah, started strong.
Chill to the Bone blue. Not in love with this card. Heaven's Claws red is actually where you really want to be in this set, right? This is something that's just great in both Lexi and Briar.
Absolutely. Love that card in Lexi. I'll play the blue. I'll play the yellow. I'll play the red. That card's one of the best cards you can open.
Rites of Lightning is our first rare here. 3 for 3. It's a yellow. It's not... I mean, if you can reliably fuse, I think it's fine, right?
Yeah. I don't tend to like Briar in the set. I like Lexi. I think it's just I see a Runeblade card in this set, and I say, pass it.
Yeah.
You know?
I do like a Weavice.
Yeah, Weavice is great.
Which is nice. A little foil Amulet of Earth. I do like Amulet Earth. It's a solid item, but it's not where I want to start. It's kind of something you can easily. I think you can easily get later in the pack. Red Vila Flash. This is pretty sweet if you have what's the basically just like burn spell for Briar.
Bramble Spark.
No,
Oh no, right to lightning, right to lightning, or
something like that. Yeah. Maybe we'll open it. I like that, like the Vila Flash combo there to kind of go off with that. Yellow Thump. I love some thumps. Get your Crackle Jacks. Get your thumps. Overflex. I mean, this is a great card.
Oh yeah, Overflex. What color? Overflex.
Yellow.
All right. I mean, that's yeah.
Yeah.
I take a Ranger card if I see it. That or Polar Blast.
Rites of Replenishment, which is starting to see some play, or it was. It's all right. Blue Snow Under. That's not something I'm ecstatic with starting with, but it's something I'm certainly happy to play in Oldham.
Oh, hey Az.
Oh, what's up, Az? Inspire Lightning.
Fire
yes,
Lightning.
He's right.
Yeah.
Az, welcome back, buddy. I'm sure it's unbelievably late for you.
It's almost,
Ooh, Red Bramble Spark. Now this was a pack one, pick one in like the first couple weeks of Tales of Aria Unlimited, and understandably so. I think it kind of dropped down.
Right? Yeah.
Ever since then, we got Seismic Surge, Rosetta Thorn. I think we take the Rosetta Thorn here. But honestly, I think we take. Gosh, I don't know.
I'm taking Overflex personally.
Or
Heaven's Claw? Actually, no, Heaven's Claw. I'm taking the Heaven's Claw.
Yeah, take the Heaven's Claw. I think Heaven's Claw is probably the best pick, but I could see myself taking the blue burgeoning, to be honest.
Yeah, I think for me it's the Heaven's Claw, just because I know I'm gonna be playing. I'm like 90% chance I play Lexi, and that's just some glue for the deck.
Yeah. All right, second pack here. Where's the Corsham? I don't want Corsham to be my first faithful.
It should be. It's going to be New Horizon. It's not going to be Corsham.
That would be insane. That would be perfect for this show. I swear to God, if that happens, I did not tamper these packs. Entwine Lightning. Oh, Runaways second again, or the equipment second.
Okay.
Runaways. I mean, it's whatever. I don't love that card. Lightning Surge red. I mean, this is a front runner already. Earth Lore Surge red is also.
Oh yeah, Lightning Surge is
Yeah, but I think the Lightning Surge is a little bit better there. Rejuvenate blue. Not thrilled about that, but we got a red Weave Earth.
Okay, Weave Earth is pretty good.
And we got a yellow Weave Lightning.
Okay.
Kind of interesting. I think the Weave Earth is certainly better. But maybe it's Lightning Surge still. I'm not sure. Entwine Ice foil. Pretty looking foil. Stir the Wildwood blue. That's a pretty decent blue for Briar.
Yeah. Orthor.
Yeah, sorry. Blue Mulch. Oh man, I've played so many blue mulches in this format. Love it.
As a new homeowner, you're gonna have to buy a lot of mulch.
Yeah, you're right. Dazzling Crescendo. Oh, there's the Inspire Lightning. There we go.
It is.
Where's the Vila Flash? Entwine Lightning blue, and Emerging Avalanche, and a blue Blizzard Bolt, and a Lexi here. So I think we're on the Lightning Surge. I can see the Earth Surge or the Weave Earth. I mean, Weave Earth is like crazy good.
It depends which pack you're in, I think, obviously, but if this was pack 2, if this was just like pack 1, Lightning Surge.
Yeah.
Right.
Lightning Surge. Well, we're off to a hot start with Lightning Surge and Heaven's Claws.
I know.
Yeah, we got mulch in Jersey. What are you talking about, Greg? My God. Right. Listen, don't listen to him. Don't listen to Greg. We got plenty of mulch. We got so much mulch. How do you think we bury the bodies?
Two mulch.
Oh, another red Heaven's Claws.
Oh, put it on the side.
Hot and fresh out the kitchen. Honey Hood. Which I know you probably be really interested in. Yellow break ground. Not thrilled with the yellow. Would love to see the red. Or not the red. The red or the blue. Electrified blue. That's a decent card. Decent card.
Oh, I take the electrified blue. Easy.
Over Heaven's Claws.
Yep, 100%.
Interesting. All right.
Card draw is super valuable. Flip it to give an arrow go again.
For sure.
I always say I take the electrifies because I don't want anybody else to have the electrifies.
Gotcha. Blue Rejuvenate. We got a blue Weave Lightning. Ooh, this is a card that's seeing some play again. Seek and Destroy.
Hey, look at that.
Oh, I think we take that first. I think.
Oh, yeah, that's a good card.
It's hard to say.
Honestly, because I know myself, I would just take the Electrify. I see the Electrify, I take it because I want like 5 or 6 of those in Polar Blasts.
I get it.
If I see them, I take them. I don't know what it is. It just gives me that consistency that I love.
I think Seek and Destroy you won Ice Lexi, right?
Yeah.
More so than Lightning Lexi. We got a blue Vela Flash foil, red Mulch, Buzzbolt yellow, Arcanic Shockwave, which is red is pretty good. I actually like that card quite a bit. The blue Invigorate, not crazy about Invigorate. Blue Entangle, I played quite a few of those. Red Frazzle. That's a good
Red
card.
Frazzle is pretty good. Yellow Arrow's pretty good too.
Ooh, here's a great card. Blue Singeing Steelblade. That's
arcane damage.
Yeah, I mean this is a closer in Briar. Yeah, that's Tales of Aria. Wow.
Yeah, what a good set. What a good set, dude.
Yeah. I mean, overpowered. Let's talk about it for a second. I mean, like, what? Tales of Aria.
Yeah, like legendaries and Tales of Aria are just the best legendaries, aren't they? Crown of Seeds, check. New Horizon, check. Spellbound Creepers, check.
Yeah.
What else? Rampart,
check.
Oh my god. Code of Frost, or not Code of Frost. Well, there's Shock Charmers.
That's not great, but it certainly has some applications, right?
It's got a great artist.
Who does that one?
Asuardi.
Oh, who else?
Or Isuardi. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm gonna have to get it right. But that's the vexing cool hand guy.
Oh yeah. Shock Charmers is great, but not quite on
Heart
the
of
level
Ice.
of the other one.
Heart of Ice. That's it. Yeah.
Now that's a card you don't see in sideboards as much anymore, right?
No, yeah. It's just good arcane barrier, and Kano can just kill you with that ability on the stack. So
yeah, it's certainly a good card and like had a relevant ability, right?
Yeah. It still is kind of a relevant ability. It's just
it was good against one of those Prism.
Things. Yeah, exactly. It's very good against Prism, which we're not seeing right now, obviously. But
yeah, because like you activate it, and then they have to decide if they want to start throwing out their auras early, and then you can kind of take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. So, hey,
yeah, the combo Kano kind of made the activation on Heart of Ice a little bit underpowered.
Yeah. So, well, but Kano, Kano's just gonna be Kano for the rest, probably rest of the game. I don't know if it'll ever LL.
He's just there's 2 Kanos that are at our meta in our local meta. I think Josh and Burke, who's Will Bodo, he's in the chat. And it has taught me, playing against Kano has taught me more about the game than I thought it would, because I just it makes you think so differently, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm really happy that it exists, but goddamn, do I just want to kill you when you're at 1, you know?
Yeah. Hey, listen. What if you can kill them at 2? You could be playing Reckless Swing because you're playing
no Reckless Swing.
Scabskin, I know they don't attack with anything. I
wish. Attack me.
Kano's just like, yeah, Kano's whatever. But we'll talk about Kano in a hot minute. But Scabskin moment of the week, I don't really have one because I've been playing a lot of Riptide, right? So
yeah.
Which doesn't mean I'm not abandoning Brute. It's just kind of like, hey, listen, We haven't really been getting a lot of brute support for a while. It is what
What
it
can you
is.
do?
What can
What
you
can you do?
do?
I'll tell you what though.
Yeah,
Good sixes we could talk about. Good sixes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
how do you feel about Amnesia and Brute?
I mean, it's fine. Like it would have to be in a. It would have to be a meta that really called for it. It's a lot like a race face, right? You're just like
Yeah.
it's kind of filling that same kind of slot, right? Like, do you want to? Are you worried about things that care about a race face? Or are you worried about things that care about amnesia? I
Right.
don't know what cares about amnesia, to be honest. What Phi can't get Phoenix Flames if it hits.
Hits Icelander too.
Hits Icelander.
Yep.
Why?
It turns off they own the Frost Hex and the Frostbite. So if you hit them with the Amnesia, you can't take damage from the Frostbites because your Frostbites that you control
Mm-hmm.
no longer have names.
That's interesting. So like, yeah. But like, I feel like they so easily deal with a 6 attack
Yeah,
with no
true.
go
True.
again.
You need to
So
hit him with 8, right? You need to hit
yeah,
him with 8.
yeah. I mean, the ideal. So here's something I want to talk about Scabskin. So like, talk something brute, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is. Tommy talks trench coats. I'll talk trench coat all day. But something I want to talk about brute that like I felt like Outsiders did give to brute was a lot of those generic sixes, which you just mentioned.
Mhm.
But it's almost like I think I mentioned it in the Buds Discord at one point. It's like in Magic we had hate bears, right? A
Yep.
bear was a 2 for 2 or whatever, and they usually had the hate bears had some kind of effect that kind of targeted one thing. It was like a silver bullet against one thing, and we're getting
Yeah.
a lot of that in these generic sixes. Erase face, Command and Conquer, Amnesia. And there were a couple others in Outsiders too that weren't as potent, but still something. It feels like you can build like a hate bear deck, just a bunch of 2 for 6s, and you might as well just
Yeah.
throw it in Reinhardt or Levia because it cares about 6s, and kind of go to town and do that, right? So yeah, sorry Ted Summer, I mentioned the Forbidden Game, but it made sense there, I swear, in context. But I think that kind of some kind of pummel hate 6
Oh yeah.
brute
Tunic.
deck. Yeah, it would be really sweet. I think that would be awesome because you can play the nice mid-range game. Now it's not it's tough because it's like you only have so many pummels, you only have
Right.
and it's you only have so many ways to get past them just blocking with 2 cards, and or just not caring about the effect, because there's only a certain amount of effects that a deck can care about, right?
Right.
Amnesia is one of the ones that's like, well, how do I care about this? Well, maybe I don't. So what are your
Yeah, I know
thoughts
you
on
were
that?
you were hot on Freewheeling Renegades too, right?
I am hot on that. The red freewheeling renegades just seems like a great
Yeah, it seems like a
Leviathan
great
card.
card. It playing it in Missouri and limited seems really fun too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's just such a good card. For those who don't know, it's a 1 for 6, and if it's blocked, it gets -2, right?
But by an action card, so it can't be blocked by reactions to get
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So in brute, right, especially like Levia, right? I think about that because it's this nice 1 for 6 that is still going to be counted as a 6 in your graveyard, but
Right.
will often just be a 1 for 4, which isn't the worst. It's a 1 for 4 that takes a card from their hand, right?
Exactly.
which
Yeah.
is actually really good in Levia. And I think, when I get back to building Levia, I think I'll be considering freewheeling Renegade, which I've already considered it in the Razor Reflex version of the deck that I had built recently, kind of like inspired by some stuff that Sigma and Sir Rabbit have done in the Discord. So that's a card that I really like. But other than that, I mean, Outsiders was not. I mean, like, whatever. Like that's like the most exciting thing for Brute
For
that
Brute,
came out of
yeah.
Outsiders. And I'm not sure if Amnesia is really going. I mean, it might change like prism matchups or like light illusionist matchups when the new light illusionist comes up with spectral shields, maybe. But that's the only thing I can think of. What's your
Yeah.
take
Well, my take on what?
on like outsiders support for Brute? I
Oh,
mean, like obviously it's
yeah,
not a
for
Brute
Brute.
set.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Brute guy, but if looking at all these cards, I the one card that really jumps out to me, I don't know if it's because I like the art so much, it feels very 90s. The card Humble. How does Brute feel about having a sleep dart now?
That is another one that's quite good, but only blocks for 2, which is kind of a shame. But
Mhm.
but that's okay. We play some block 2s better than block 0s, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I just know that like some heroes, it would just be really nice to turn their ability off for Brute. Like you just don't want to have to deal with it. Like I know when I see Humble, I don't love it
yeah.
because it's kind of basically just an erase face. But if Leviah ever gets big, Humble's in the main deck.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, I mean, I mean, we hate sleep dart in Levi, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like humble is going to be a real problem. Yeah. There's only so much you can do with a 2 for 6
hmm
that like Azalea was able to do with a sleep dart, or Lexi was able to do a
right.
sleep dart, but it is still an issue. So yeah, no, humble.
Yeah,
Yeah, humble's one that actually it is worth putting in most Leviathan decks probably because it's a relevant hate 6. So
yeah.
very excited for that card now. How was your pre-release?
Oh man, my pre-release was great. So this weekend I went to only one pre-release because I had to go to New York on Saturday and then I had to do some homework because we had a midterm on Monday. So basically, I was booked from Friday to Monday afternoon, and but yeah, so we did a pre-release at Dark Depths Games, which is the shop that I help out at in Philly. My favorite shop in the world. They're just the best. A great group there. It's a I talk about the store on here many times, but it's a record store, heavy metal record store that's also a card shop. So it's like this weird mix in this little row home size store in an in old pretty much old city Philadelphia. So like it's great vibes. You can get tons of food around there. Um, and yeah, so we did our first Flesh and Blood pre-release there. I was the TO, but I was playing because we had 16 kits and we wanted to use them all. Um, and yeah, so I played Riptide. I had a pretty great pool, as I talked about. I got the Van Brandts, and one thing I learned about outsiders is, I mean, I think we all kind of saw this going around on Twitter, is that you don't want to play 30 cards in this format.
No.
No, you got to play 35. You got to play a little more than 35 sometimes. Like I know Caleb, he went 3-1 in his pre-release because he only played 35. And so like yeah, so what I learned is that if you can block well, over pitch into things, like I learned a lot from playing the chain deck because you should have seen me. I was over pitching like hell. I was pitching a red into the castaway, but while I had an arrow in arsenal, so I could filter that to the bottom to be able to play it later. Because you just want to pitch that, and then I would pitch my blue into the give it a name counter and then fire. Right.
Oh
So
yeah.
like because what's really cool about Castaway Unlimited is you can activate the abilities even if you don't have the targets. They're all maze, right? So what you can do is if you have a full hand or you have like 3 cards, you can over pitch and be able to basically pitch deck yourself, which is awesome. Like that's something that I think in this format you kind of have to do. You kind of have to throw your good red cards, good yellows to the bottom. I had a lot of good yellow arrows. I had a lot of good traps. I had a lot of good 0 cost, like some Rabbles, some Seek Horizons, some Scout the Peripheries. But I think the card, honestly, that saved me the most was this Fembrance. And it makes sense, right? It's a legendary. So, like, a legendary should win you some games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about Vembrance is it's that threat of activation. It just sits there, and people can't play their brush offs. They can't, they can't play their peace of minds and expect the whole thing to go through. So like you just sit there with the Vembrance on the battlefield. You're over pitching, like I said, and people just have to block with 2 cards, or have to like assume that the brush off is just going to get reduced by 1, which is awesome. But I don't know how you felt about the card Widowmaker. Did you play the card Widowmaker in your pool?
Yeah, I had one Widowmaker, and it was, I think the card's excellent.
Oh, the card's insane. The card is very good. It's a 1 for 7, essentially, unless they block with 2 cards from their hand. Oh, hey, DM Armada, welcome.
What's going on, DM? Mr. Steven Cookies. How you doing?
Yeah. Hey, welcome. Yeah, so that card Widowmaker is fantastic. The problem with Widowmaker is that it usually takes 2 cards out of their hand, right? But if your opponent has a Vembrance, it only takes 1, because Vembrance has 0 defense on it. So it can block, and you can block with a card from hand. So I played 4 Rangers on my pre-release Friday night, and they all played Widowmaker. And I was basically able to block Widowmaker with one card and a Vembrance every time, and it really worked out. I was very lucky. I ended up going 3-0 first 3 rounds, and then I split with one of the local, because I wanted to. I wanted the playmat, which I got, but I also wanted to give out a bunch of prizes because I was running it, so I had to make sure everybody got. I wanted to make sure we gave out a bunch of prizes. So we played a quick game. I did lose that one. It was to an Azalea, really close one. I lost to a Toxicity into the Virulent Touch. It was brutal. It was basically like I was at 2, Virulent Touch is coming in. If it hits with Toxicity, I'm dead. If I block it, make a Blood Rot token, I'm dead. So it was just basically like he pitched stack a great 2-card hand with the Toxicity and the Virulent Touch in Arsenal. So we did split, but it was a good time. I ended up with an Azuri and the playmat, and yeah, it was really nice to do a pre-release at Dark Depths. I did a lot of pre-releases there for Magic, but since I stopped playing Magic, I really missed going to that store and being there on pre-release, because limited is so good, pre-release is amazing. But yeah, Riptide's really fun, especially when you have some good enablers. No hero seems too good, is what I've found. Really, it's just based on your pool, right? Like,
Yeah.
If your pool is good for a hero, just play that hero. It can look like a pile, you play 40 card pile, but just play the hero, and you learn a lot about the hero as you play these limited decks. Oh yeah, and don't undervalue Seek Horizon. That card is insane. The Red Seek Horizon is just really good.
It really is, and I think that you learn a lot about this format in the first game, right? I know I did.
Oh, yeah.
I was running 30 cards.
Yeah,
and promptly switched to more.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I have the habit of always playing 33 or 35. I do it because Oldhim was just a pain in the ass.
True.
So I just was like, I've trained myself, especially in a game like Flesh and Blood, where you're just going to be blocking a bunch of times, and like Fi. Think about how many times you just have to block out Fi. An extra few cards is An extra few cards really goes a long way.
That's a great point, DM. The 2 blocks in the set, right?
Yep.
Which is something that I came to a realization when I was like, wow, these like buffed up arrows are doing some real business right here. They're closing out games. Folks aren't able to block as efficiently as they'd hope, and
yellow arrows, man. Yellow and red arrows. Good.
They're pretty great. Now, I did so I should say that I was only able to play 1 pre-release because that I was at a bachelor party weekend, right, for one of my childhood friends getting married. Very happy for him. Was there out in the Pocono Mountains, the cabin, and we had fun. Play a lot of board games and video games and stuff like that. We were also drinking and getting into some trouble, but not too much trouble. But but the last night, for whatever reason, I drank too much, and I woke up Sunday morning and I was very not okay.
But you did well, right?
Well, yeah, I was not feeling well, but I ended up doing well. So I ended up going to one pre-release. It was at Koros War Games in Flemington, New Jersey. It's where I usually buy my packs. I bought the packs that we opened tonight, the Tales of Aria packs from there. It's a nice little store. They're a little bit newer. They're kind of getting the hang of things, and that will kind of come into play here in a moment. But so I opened my pool. I'm like looking at it. I'm like, my ninja stuff's there. Maybe I can get Benji going. I think Katsu's very hard to have a playable pool in sealed. That's my initial kind of take on this. But my assassin stuff was actually very weak, and I was kind of a little bit disappointed because I felt like assassin was going to be like one of the better decks. So I've already been playing a lot of Riptide and CC and Talishar and stuff like that. So I looked at my Ranger pool, and I think it could have gone either way, to Azalea or Riptide. I went with Riptide. Built it, went to the bathroom, wasn't feeling well, came back out, and I was good for the rest of the tournament. So we played 3 rounds. There's only 11 of us there. Played 3 rounds. I won all 3, which was awesome. I won them all in different ways. The first game was fatigue. The second was kind of pitch stacking, virulent touch to kind of close out the game, and then the third was with a trap, which was very cool, and it was very well timed. So I was kind of ecstatic. I was the only Riptide in the room except for Salad Fingers in the Buzz Discord, who was Riptide for round 1 and then switched after that. So it was cool, and then it felt cool that I can win in 3 different ways, right? Kind of like Riptide felt kind of pretty versatile, and it was kind of cool to see how the other decks were playing. I played against 2 Arachnes and a Benji. The Benji was the scariest, I will say that, because how do I block this thing? But it was very cool. Ended going 3-0. I didn't get any of the cool prizing because there was another 3-0 and the TO didn't really understand that maybe we should have played off for it and kind of gave it to the person that was first on the standings list. It's okay. I had fun. I got my my cold foil tokens, which I really wanted, and got some prize packs as well because it wasn't a full 16. So it was a great time, and I'm very excited for the sealed format because I was like telling Nick, because there was a lot of new players there, which was very cool. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was like, oh hell yeah, and I was like, oh, just so you know, like this is like the first sealed format that feels like great, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's some, you could maybe enjoy some of the others, different strokes for different folks, but, and I was like, this is not normal for Flesh and Blood. Like, this is great. Like, hopefully this is like the standard going forward, which is very cool. And, I had a lot of fun, and it felt cool to see like different heroes being played throughout the room, and
absolutely,
and Azalea's around, and like and I know, and people, Azalea cult, I'm sure Az has already gone to sleep, but much love to the Azalea cult. It's your time finally. So
yeah.
But yeah. Oh yeah, DM. That's a great point. WTR sealed was always fun, but I've only ever drafted WTR sealed, to be honest, and I mean that was always a blast. It's like maybe one of the best. But Greg, also good night.
Good night, Greg.
Great night, Mr. Darth Prentice.
McGriddle Greg.
Mr. Greg. So now it's the time to talk about our top 5 cards that we're excited about in Outsiders so far. And I wanted you to lead us off here, Gary.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this in a few different ways. And when it comes to limited, there's a few cards that you're just like, oh, I want to see this card every time. Like I told you with like Electrify and Polar Blast, like certain cards you just want to be like, oh, I want to open this and I want to play this. But then there's cards where, like you think about for your main deck outside of the format. Those are mainly generics. So I'm going to give a good range here. This is in no particular order. But the first card I want to shout out is I really really like um the Virulent Touch. That card is just the way that card works in like a Riptide deck, in like a slower assassin deck, where you kind of want that 0 for 4 that's like very on rate, but the restriction of playing it is you have to put it in your arsenal. I mean, Riptide gets rid of that, and Assassin a lot of times wants to block out anyway, throw a card in arsenal. So I feel like it's one of those really great cards that makes, and maybe this is the Runeblade player in me, right, coming out. That Virulent Touch, you attack with that, the opponent has to decide, what am I doing here? Like, am I going to block this and then, get a Blood Rot token and have to deal with that 2 damage later? Like, when you attack with a red Virulent Touch, you're really dealing like 4 damage, but you're presenting like kind of split damage, kind of like Runeblade. So I really love that card. I think that card in Riptide is going to be really good, especially when you have like these non just arrow buffs. Like, you have the toxicities, you have like that kind of thing where you can just like play the toxicity and then play Virulent Touch. That's like an insane little combo there. Like, a blue toxicity is just a lot of damage. You're taking a lot of cards for, a two card hand that's literally, threatening was 7+ damage. I also am really, really, really excited for Give and Take. The card is going to be a real problem in Briar, I think. Like, Briar is going to take that card and absolutely just Channel Mount Heroic, attack for 6. If you block it with an action card, I get my Channel Mount Heroic back on the top of my deck, or I get a blue Earth on the back on top of my deck, or that kind of thing. That card is really, really good, and I'm very excited to try it out in Viserai. As you know, I like a longer game. I like a slower play style because I want to be able to get that value of the rune chance. I'm not saying this is like going to be a staple in Viserai. I'm just saying I really like the turns it gives you if you just play like 2 Give and Take. If you have a Give and Take and they don't block it, or they block it with a defense reaction, it doesn't really do anything. It goes to the graveyard, but it's a 1 with Go Again, so you're able to do something else in a Runeblade deck. If they block that card, you can put Rattlebones on top of your deck. And if you play 4 Rattlebones in a game, like, Rattlebones is one of the best 2-card hands in the game, because you can play Rattlebones, pitch a blue, get Swarming Gloomveil, attack Rosetta Thorn. That's like 8 damage that's split 4 different ways, And like the way that Give and Take puts me in the mindset of, okay, I can have more power cards back. Like, I see why Briar would absolutely love it. And I see it as a card that just either takes a card out of hand, or it's just a 3 damage, right? It's that decision making from my opponent. And if I am attacking with, say, like 1 or 2 rune chants and a Give and Take, like, that's 5 damage that they have to figure out how they want to spend their cards on. And regardless if they block it or they don't block it, I'm happy with what happens. So I'm really excited for Give and Take. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be like a great Viserai card. I think it's just going to be one of those cards that's just really good in certain decks that want those power cards. I think Bolton might actually really like it too, because you can kind of get like the Lumina, and you can buff it to get like different stuff back with Bolton. So I don't know. I think that card could be actually really good, especially if it's a 3 attack, right? So if you block it with an attack, I forget exactly how Bolton works, but buffing it to 4 is really nice, and it's a 1 Go Again that can get like your Lumina back if you needed to block with it. You can get a V for Victory back, that kind of thing. Or no, it's an action card, right? You can only get your Lumina back. But yeah, that card I'm really excited for. I'm also really excited for Burdens of the Past. So this card is a 0 for blue. It says until the end of turn, target hero can't play defense reactions with the same name as a card in their graveyard. And then if there are 10 or more defense reactions in their graveyard, draw a card. This card is, on the surface, it's just a 0 for 3 block, Go Again, that's a blue. That's good, right? That's just a good rate. Like, even if that card did nothing, you kind of sometimes want to play it because it's just a 3 block that's a blue, right? Um, but in certain decks, like against Bravo, against Oldhim, sometimes depending on what kind of D-React build they're doing, you can hit a lot of their cards. Like if they've played an unmovable early on, like a blue unmovable or red unmovable, you can play Burdens of the Past, and then they can't play either of their unmovables for that turn. And in addition to that, it's just a 0 blue, so with Go Again, so you could just turn on your whole Viserai turn just by playing a Burdens of the Past. So that card is really interesting to me, just from a like, this could be really good against very defensive decks in the future, which is what's something that Viserai has sometimes as a problem with is those hyper defensive decks that just likes to outlive you. And I think having the option of a 0 cost that's blue, like I said, we talked about with like Skyfire Lanterns, right? Like I like that card just because it's a 0. It's a 0 for Go Again that you can swing Nebula Blade. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Yeah. So I really like those 2 cards. And what's the other one? Oh yeah, Virulent Touch. So the last 2 I want to shout out. I want to shout out the yellow arrows. I know that this is. I know I was joking about it earlier, but I really think in limited your yellow arrows are going to be your huge value plays here, because like DM Armada said earlier, there's a lot of 2 blocks, right? So if you have a yellow arrow, that yellow arrow is attacking for 4. In Riptide, that's, you can load it. You're only paying 1 for it. But remember what I was talking earlier about that pitch stack? That yellow arrow is so valuable late in the game because it's going to take 1 or 2, it's going to take 2, maybe 3 cards from them in order for them not to block it. So I really think that if you can hold off on attacking with a yellow arrow early and just using that to fuel your turn, those are going to go a really long way in limited, like Infecting Shot, Sedation Shot. What's the other one? Withering Shot. Yeah, all of those like 1 for 4s that are yellows are kind of like really good because you have that on hit no matter what, and you can buff it up to a 5. And if they only have 2 blocks in hand, then that's 3 cards, right? So it's this format's going to be all about the long game, and I think that the yellow arrows in particular are going to play a key role in really finding that glue in those sealed pools. And my last card I want to talk about is this Van Brands of Determination. I honestly like in limited, if you open it, and you should play it just because of that 0 block. Like the Widowmaker is a gross card. Like it's so gross. And outside of limited, Van Brands of Determination is going to be a great Oldhim option. Yeah, I'm just really excited for these like generic arms. I think we talked about what would a generic arm be on one of our episodes, and so it's just like so. it's just nice to actually see one. So I'm really excited for that. I do want to shout out as a special one, Amnesia. That card is I'm not really excited to play it. I'm excited to have it played against me. Because if an Amnesia hits a Viserai player, they're very happy. The only thing that it turns off for Viserai is like Rune Flash costing 3 whole life, 3 whole resources, Amplify costing 3. But if you get hit with Amnesia, your Grasp of the Arknight costs 2, your Revels don't destroy your rune chance at the end of your turn. It's like, yeah, it's basically like cheating with Viserai. You basically say, okay, you pretend you have no rune chance, and now take this turn. And so it's a great card. How about you?
Me? Jeez. Oh, so many. Well, all right. Well, first of all, I saw Dead Summer said that he opened a cold foil tunic in sealed, which must be nice, Kale.
Yeah.
Atlanta. And JP, welcome. Nobody's late. Every bud arrives precisely when they mean to. But that's a pretty good list. I actually for technically only one kind of card that's kind of gonna mesh with mine. So my number one, or not number one, no particular. First one I want to talk about is Freewheeling Renegade.
Yep.
We mentioned it earlier, and it's for a lot of the reasons that we mentioned already. 1 for 6 that takes the card out of their hand if they want it to be a 1 for 4. It's very exciting for brutes. I think it's going to be very cool. I don't know if it's going to really tick the needle, but it could be something that it pushes a little bit more damage. And it's like a 1 for 6 with, I don't think much of a downside is awesome. Like I mean, Levi, you see how great Boneyard Marauder is, right? And I think that's something worth noting. The next card I want to talk about is Collapsing Trap, and I could talk about a lot of traps here, but I think Collapsing Trap is easily my favorite because, well, it feels so elegant to play against a goat wide deck, right? Hey, listen, you're not gonna get the turn that you want, and like not only does it play Collapsing Trap on something with go again, they discard their hand, draw that many cards -1. Okay, so on the surface you're like, wow, okay, I'm gonna play this against a go wide deck. Their turn's gonna be kind of ruined. Maybe they'll be able to do something else, but whatever. And now obviously, I mean, Riptide, you get to deal the 1 damage too, but beyond that, you get to get a little bit more ahead on cards, right? They discard those cards. They don't go to the bottom. They discard them and they're drawing more, right? So, I think that is like an amazing way to kind of get ahead on cards in a ranger deck, get to the long game, their resources. Yeah. It's like, it's, I don't know. Riptide's weird, right? I don't want to call it a fatigue deck, but I think you want to wither down their resources, their cards that are potent and can make a difference in the late game. And a lot of decks, outside of decks that want to fatigue, don't really think about that, right? So they're playing out their cards that are good no matter what, but you're kind of like, oh, whatever, I'll deal with them until the end game, and all of a sudden you're left with like blues and stuff, and like you can't deal with that. So Collapsing Trap is really cool for that reason. Helps you get ahead on those cards. Infecting Shot is the next one. I think it could go the same for all the shots, but Infecting is the coolest, right? You kind of just a really potent attack with a really good on hit.
Brutal card.
It's awesome, and it's great. I love the blue. It blocks for 3. That's awesome. Yep. I just want to like, and even the blue's coming in for 4 if you can throw that aim counter on, which is like so cool. The next is Codex of Bloodrot. So I'm a big fan of all the codexes, and I'm going to mention another one next. But Codex of Bloodrot is worth noting because it allows you. I mean, like all the codexes, like if your opponent has an empty arsenal, it does take 1 card out of their hand to kind of make it harder for them to block. Andrew says, I'm Bravo, my blues steal your blues lunch money. Well, the Collapsing Trap is not for Bravo, Andrew. So don't worry about it. But anyway, but like Codex of Bloodrot is really cool because, well, it gives them a Bloodrot token. I think it's pretty obvious how strong. Right? Yeah. What was that?
2 damage, right?
Yeah, it's strong. I think Bryn from the Banish Zone made a tweet. It's like, this is 2 arcane damage that you have to pay 3 to prevent, right? Mm-hmm. Which is very inefficient. So, Bloodrot is good because it's just gonna give them the Bloodrot. You get the Ponder. You can play it your hand or whatever, and you're still gonna be able to get an arsenal. I mean, it's like, this is why all the codexes are so good. Ponder's so good. But the next one is one that I really love. It's it might be my favorite card in the set. Codex of Frailty is so cool and good, right? Yeah. The Frailty token is whatever, right? It's like it has some upside. It's not changing the world, but in some decks it does, right? Kodachis don't do anything, daggers don't do anything. Something coming out of arsenals is worse. But at least in Riptide, the way I've been playing it is you can pitch a blue to, like, you can block to a 2-card hand. You pitch a blue to your Castaway to just load nothing, right? Mm-hmm. You can just load nothing with Castaway, and with that you have 2 resources floating. You play the Codex of Frailty, you grab a CNC from your graveyard, pop it into your arsenal. Your opponent either already had an arsenal or they're about to have one, and then with those other two resources, you just swing in for the CNC. You ponder token, get your arsenal for the next turn. I mean, it's just so cool what you can do.
Yeah.
Dead Summer Art says, "I love Flick Knives." Flick Knives is really cool. I've had it.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
I've had it played against me, and it's very scary. So, Codex of Frailty is like such a huge like. I don't know, like recursion's just really cool. Like obviously I play Leviathan, so I'm always playing a little bit of recursion, but like the way that you can manipulate recursion with Codex of Frailty is awesome. And that's 5 cards. So I don't know. I mean, I think those are the cards I'm most excited about. Sure, there's a lot of Riptide stuff and then one brute stuff, but like to be honest, like Infecting Shot I think is insane in Azalea.
First pick.
Always. Oh yeah, it's insane in Azalea.
Yeah.
And then the codexes are great. I think in any ranger or assassin deck, I think the codexes are real all stars. I mean, I didn't even mention inertia, and inertia tokens are brutal, man.
Yeah, especially against Oldhim and Icelander. Also, shout out to Dead Summer Art with the inertia. Codex sport, right?
I know. That's right. I didn't mention the inertia, and we got the guy spoiled it in the chat. But I'm sorry, Cal.
I do wanna talk a second about that Flick Knives and just Van Grants of Determination. That I could talk for a whole hour about just the value of a threat of activation, and I think that this set does a wonderful job at like. Is the idea of the whole thing of Azuri is that threat of activation, right? Like how much do you value that threat, right? Like I attack you for one stealth. What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? You're gonna block that with 2 cards, right? Like I think one thing that Fab does a really good job at is let you play mind games against your opponent, and so yeah, the Flick Knives is a fantastic example of it, just because like. You know when you're going to activate it, but your opponent has no idea when you're going to activate
it. Yeah. Sorry, I just saw Battle Bro Taylor's in the chat. Just says he loves the pink and the Shakespeare's writing desk. Thank you, Taylor. We're really killing it. But yeah, Flick Knives is awesome.
I do have one more card I need to shout out. Sorry. Dead Summer Art's in the chat. You know, he'll love this. I got to shout out the Marvel of the Codex of Bloodrot because it has Arcane on it.
Does it really?
It has Arcane. Yeah, it has some letters of Arcane on it, but it doesn't mean anything yet. If you look up the Marvel Codex of Bloodrot, if you want to throw it up.
Yeah, I can see if I can find it here.
It has in the bottom line of the triangle, it has some arcane letters. It has a G and it has a D and a K on the end, but it doesn't. Is it a G? No, that might be an H, a GH. And sorry, this is a passion of mine. If you're watching and you got no idea what we're talking about, there's a secret language that Legend Story Studios came up with as they were creating cards, and it's like hidden throughout different cards and different and in this set, this is one of the only ones that actually has that language on it. It's the lines between the circle and the bottom.
Wow.
So it's So it's very cool. I'm really happy that. So I have to get one just because I love it so much. But yeah, so this is that card is in particular. If you're a big fan of Runeblades, big fan of the Monastery, this is the one you should pick up.
Yeah, I mean the Marvels are awesome. I am a huge fan of them. I'm not a foil player, right? I do not play. I try not to play foils unless I have no other option. And these codexes are making me question that. I will say that. There's another language on cards like Tome of Firebrand that hasn't been decoded yet. Whoa,
yep. Reese Robin, who decoded the arcane, and then I used their translation to make the font. Well, that Summer and I both have our own arcane fonts. they'd have a thread on Twitter about it. It's my pinned tweet because I love it so much, because I like to go back and look at the languages that LSS put into the game and then didn't tell us anything. They didn't say anything about it. They just gave these artists codexes and ciphers for these languages that they wrote and didn't tell anybody. It's amazing.
It's pretty awesome. Now, Gary.
Yeah, I know.
It's come to that time when we have to fight. No, we don't have to fight. So for those of you who don't know at home, Gary and I have both been very interested in Riptide, as many people have, and one thing that I've found, and something that I have even talked about in last week's podcast of Fresh and Buds, that I think there's a lot of opinions out there. Some of them are right, some of them are wrong. They're all a little bit right, they're all a little bit wrong, right? And that's worth noting before we get into this. Now, my list currently, which I'm aptly calling Big Lurks, because it's kind of we're just lurking, we're big, right? We're just throwing big attacks, and we're playing traps. We're kind of slowing the game down. We're playing deep. It's a control deck, right?
Right.
And I'm playing Arcanite Skullcap in that deck.
Yeah.
Well, he's got less life than my opponent. Now, Gary and some other buds who will not be named. No,
we'll name them right now.
Sigma. Tommy is always wrong, but the list is nice. Thank you, Capolo. That's finally something nice. Capolo says about me. But so Gary has been insistent that New Horizons is the truth, and I disagree. And I want to know why you think New Horizons is the truth in Riptide.
So I have heard your reasons why you think Arcanite Skullcap is the truth. And as a big fan of Arcanite Skullcap, I have zero things against Arcanite Skullcap. I love that card. I think it's better than Crown of Providence in a lot of cases, which I know is blasphemous in some way, but
in some circles,
yeah, that's a big no to say that. But yes, Mara, everybody's here. The chat is popping tonight. Really, really happy all the buds are here and back for this week. Sorry, I just saw Mara pop up. So the way I see Arcanite Skullcap versus New Horizon is that if there is any point of time in the game where you could have an extra card in hand, why would you not have an extra card in hand? Because in Flesh and Blood, we don't have the opportunity to hold on to a lot of our cards every turn because we're playing them, we're arsenaling them, we're doing all these things with our cards, right? Like Prism gets to play things on the battlefield. Dromai gets to put things on the battlefield. If you play a lot of auras, Runeblade gets to play things on the battlefield. If you play a lot of things that have this passive value or let you have that threat of activation, and this is kind of what I was talking about earlier today. The threat of activation of being able to have an extra arsenal slot is never bad. Like there's no drawback to having another arsenal slot. The only drawback on the ability of New Horizon is that if you block with it, you might as well have just no arsenal at all. And the idea with New Horizon is that it blocks 2, just like Arcanite Skullcap does on the first block, or hopefully the first block. But if you have any number of arrows, say like an Endless Arrow, if you are able to throw an Endless Arrow into Arsenal face up, there's literally no drawback. Then you're just playing the same game, but now you have an Endless Arrow just sitting there face up. And again, when you're going to fire that arrow. Your opponent does not know when you're going to fire that arrow. And so, depending on how many go agains you have, like I know your deck's not super go again heavy, but being able to just fire a 0 for 4 from your arsenal is very good, especially when you have to block 4 cards and you want to pressure something, right? So if you're facing an opponent and you have your Endless Arrow in arsenal and you're just playing a normal game, your Endless Arrow is just sitting there face up, and then there's that turn where you have to full block, you're very lucky that you have that Endless Arrow face up, because then you can fire it for 0, force some damage, take some cards from their hand if they want you to get it back. If not, if you can get that Endless Arrow right back, throw it right in your arsenal, and then you can flip it over again and have a 5-card hand. There's literally no drawback to having an extra card. And it's not like Crown of Providence where you're drawing that card once and you're not drawing it again. It's for every arrow that's in your deck, you have an opportunity to have an extra card. And like you were talking about Codex of Frailty and being able to put a card face and being able to put a card in your arsenal. Well, if you're playing Codex of Frailty and you have any arrow, you can play Codex of Frailty, load an arrow with Riptide, flip the arrow with Riptide, do the same thing that you were trying to do, except now you have a Command and Conquer and an arrow.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So here's the thing. There's certainly ways to kind of get the value out of New Horizons, and albeit I'm not as well versed on Ranger as a class as some people. This is my first foray into Ranger, right?
Yeah.
In my findings, in my testing with Riptide, it's so hard to get that extra like arsenal slot, right? Things go in, and like I think it locks you into a plan that wants to play a ton of arrows, and sure, I think that is a valid strategy, and I think if you want to do that. And I think Sigma actually posted a video of someone made is playing like an aggro Crown of Dominion deck, like a Royal Riptide, which seemed really sweet. But also, I looked at it, I'm like, well, maybe this could also play the New Horizons, but like also like things weren't going into Arsenal face up a lot, right? And the problem with Riptide, unlike Lexi makes New Horizons look like the best card ever printed, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Is that Lexi can flip for free.
Yeah.
Right? Riptide can't. It's always going to cost one resource. And you can only load one per turn. And you can flip once per turn as well. And there's something to that. But I think it's just so hard to get that value. And like, sure, you could just play the New Horizons and block with two, for two. But the unfortunate thing about that is the downside of blocking with New Horizons for two is you lose your arsenal, right?
And not with Trench.
Not with Trench, but like sometimes you need the arsenal, right? Like and like the Trench is there for a number of reasons, but the Trench could help filter your arsenal whenever you want. So it's that's where I'm at with it. Now, it just feels like, right? I think for a lot of the same reasons that you're saying, it's good in Riptide is in my opinion maybe a way that it's good in Azalea, but you don't see Azalea playing New Horizons. You see it playing cross wraps, right? And there's a reason for that. You can opt and flip something face up and whatever, but that's where I'm at with it. It's
you make a good point. I think that really, and again, Arcanine Skullcap, fantastic card. Like I think that it's seeing play at all is great, and I think you're right. I see lines where you're like, yeah, I just got to block with my Skullcap here, and if I had a New Horizon, I'd be done for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're making a lot of sense. But I think card that really makes New Horizons sing in like a deck like Riptide is Heatseeker. Like if you're not playing Heatseeker, it makes sense that that Arcanine Skullcap would be better. So if you're valuing Heatseeker as this card that is basically on hit draw card, you want to play New Horizon. But if you're not valuing a card like that in your list, then I definitely see where the Arcanine Skullcap comes into play. I'm not converted, but I think that you see where I'm coming from, and I totally see where you're
no. There's certainly situations. It's just like my whole problem with the Riptide deck is that I don't think those like kind of go wide strategies are going to do enough, right, in a meta. And maybe I'm bringing too much meta kind of theory into it rather than just the deck, because I watched that video earlier that Sigma posted, and I watched this fella pump out 2-card 8s 3 times in a turn. You're just like, whoa, this is insane. This is the most insane Ranger thing I've ever seen happen. But in reality, I mean, how many decks are going to let you do that, right? And we live in a world where ice exists and stuff like that now,
Yeah.
and where Command and Conquer is only going to get more and more prevalent. Now you can trench away your arsenal, but you can't trench away a face up arsenal. So it's always something that you have to worry about. Now I will say I'm currently at Skullcap and then Crown of Providence and then maybe New Horizons.
Yeah.
But it's certainly
yeah.
It's certainly hard to say because bad internet showing. You need to argue. Yeah, start arguing. No, it's tough because I don't think anybody knows the truth for Riptide.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm far from saying I know that this is the right play. I just think like card value, right? It's like any number of cards more than the number of cards you should have every turn is always good.
Absolutely. I see that side of it, right?
Yeah,
but it's only if you can make that happen, right?
Yeah.
Which you could tune the deck to do that, I think easily, right? I think Ranger has a lot of tools to turn on New Horizons, but I don't think Riptide inherently has those tools. He has the tools to kind of make use of the face up, whatever arsenal to kind of easily get that second arsenal in, but he's not doing it on his own. You have to like build the deck, and maybe I believe, and I believe that you can. What's the word I'm looking for here? I believe that you can hurt the integrity of the deck build by making New Horizons work, and that's just my thoughts. I've messed around with New Horizons, and I've seen it do really well. I've seen the Heatseeker stuff. Heatseeker was awesome. But I also felt myself wishing I could block with my helm.
All right, yeah, that's really fair. Yeah, I mean that's why I play it in chain, right? So
yeah. So I mean these are the thoughts, and I felt like we had to like get it out in words.
Exactly. I love this kind of stuff, man. It's just I want to have a threat of activation conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've even thought about cross wraps before New Horizons.
But yeah, because you own them. It's because you own them.
Well,
I saw your biased fable list. Listen,
it's a little bit different with with the legendaries, but cross wraps. It's kind of cool though. I mean, like cross wrap is definitely probably fourth option, right after New Horizons. Mm-hmm. But like initially, I thought, well, you're gonna load something face down, and then all of a sudden you have the ability to flip it up and opt and kind of mess around with your deck a little bit. But in the end, it didn't really do much. Didn't matter, in the words of Linkin Park. So, but Chester Benningfield, R.I.P. Gary, this was fun though. I'm glad we're back.
Yeah, man. So happy to be back. I've got a pop in chat tonight. Happy to see everybody.
Absolutely.
Thanks you all for stopping by. How is you have a good meal this week?
Yeah, so since I mentioned I was on a bachelor party weekend, we didn't eat anything healthy, right?
Yeah.
It was just meat and junk food and beer and whiskey. And I Sunday, and then on top of being hungover on Sunday, I got home after my pre-release. I saw Lady Fresh. I was like, I need something like that's not red meat tonight. So we went to we went to this like farm to table place. It's called Caleb's American Kitchen. It's in Pennsylvania. I ventured into Pennsylvania. It's crazy. And I had a sea bass. It was very good, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It had like a saffron risotto kind of thing going on, and it just felt like, I mean, like it's still like kind of heavy, but like it felt like, well, this isn't hot dogs and hamburgers, and as much as I love hot dogs and hamburgers, I needed something that was not that. So that was my meal of the week.
Because you had just released it. Earlier
I sure did. So what about you? What was your meal of the week?
Yeah, so So there's this. I don't know if I talked about this revolving sushi place that came into Philly. It's just this. It's just like you go to a place, you go to the restaurant. Sushi goes around on a conveyor belt. There's a little robot that drops off your drinks. It's a very gimmicky restaurant. I think that there's a few in Jersey now too. I think there's one in Jersey City that I heard about. But and I on Sunday before I had to do all my work for my homework, my one of our locals, Josh, who plays Kano, unfortunately, he came. We hung out. We just kind of talked about stuff, talked about life, talked about we had literally hung out at this revolving sushi place for like 2 hours almost. And it's like it's one of those places where you don't really have a person who's coming to check on you, right? Like you literally are ordering all of your food from a computer or a robot. So it's like there's no waitress or waiter unless you're trying to get it ordered, right? Very European or Eastern, I guess, if you want to sit because we're at the sushi place. But so it was really nice to just like hang out. Paige was there for a while. We just kind of talked, talked about life, talked about what's going on in flesh and blood, but talked about really what's going on in our personal lives. And it was just really nice to connect with somebody, just with a bud, just hanging out. And I don't know, I love those meals. Really look forward to doing more of those, just hanging out, doing buzz being buds. And so yeah, I really like that sushi restaurant just because the sushi's pretty good, but it's like you just go sit there, have a long conversation. Nobody's kicking you out. Nobody's like, do you want anything else? Do you want anything else? Do you want anything else? So yeah, I really had a good time on Sunday, just hanging out.
Sounds delicious. I haven't had good sushi in a minute, and I'm ready for some
Well,
more.
when you come in, well, they have all kinds of cephalopods on the sushi too. So.
I do love a good cephalopod. I try not to think about how smart they are when I eat them, but hey, what can you do?
They have the takoyaki, which is I know one of your favorites.
Oh. All right. Well, enough about cephalopods. All right. Plug everything you need to plug, Gary.
Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Just if you wanna follow me, I'm on Twitter at Mr. Viz. Mr. spelled out VIZ. Talk about RuneBlade stuff. Talk about Arcane. I've been trying to get more into talking about judging, talking about rules of the game because I realize there's a lot of people who know how to play the game, but the rules are very very complicated. So if you have any rules questions, feel free to reach out to me. I love talking about the rules. Me and Will Bodo have been getting really into judging lately. We've been really judgy like teenagers in high school. Um, but yeah, I've been doing a bit of that, and yeah, just join the Buds Discord. Honestly, we have been hanging out in there every day. It's a great spot whether you're playing Flesh and Blood, we're playing Elden Ring again. Um, just hanging out. Cap and I are going to play some Northgard maybe this week. Just if you like hanging out playing games, the Buds Discord is a great place. But yeah, that's all I really have to plug. Be good to each other. What about you, Tom?
Well, I don't know who Tom is, but I'm Tommy Fresh. You can continue to find me on Twitter at FreshBudsPod. Check out the Buds Discord; it's the best. Check out the Patreon. Look out for Cracking 6 and Making Picks coming out soon, probably starting next week. Fresh and Buds. Hopefully, the set review's out tomorrow. It's good, I don't have another podcast otherwise, so it needs to be up tomorrow. So we got some great guests coming on in the next couple weeks. Next week, I believe we're gonna have Riley Groff on.
Oh, nice.
From Central Pennsylvania. He's been on before. He's awesome. We're going to talk a little bit about Limited, which will be a lot of fun. And then after that, we have Smithel Gaming, because we're going to be talking a little bit about Commoner, and just getting to know someone who runs a really great community on Discord. And if anybody's at PAX East this weekend in Boston, I'll be there hanging out with my cousins, some childhood friends. Very excited. I leave tomorrow morning. I hope you're all doing great and have a great weekend. To all the buds around the world, thank you for tuning in. It always means a lot. And pack your Arcanite skull caps. And then Crown Province, then New Horizons. But all right, well, that's it. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Bellow, bellow, bellow. We didn't bellow at the beginning. Nobody knew what the show was.